Yo, what's up fanbase, it's your boy Blaze Hollow, coming at you with a new what if. This time I'll be bringing you what if Deku had gourmet cells, but I do want to say that I'm very sorry for being gone for so long. I was doing some recording for All Stars with my old buddy Gucci, so let's get into it and start that intro.
See me through the fuck, bitch. Crazy, saying that she hate me. Obliterate the pussy feral animal with rabies. Yo, bitch, fucking dirty. She got scabies. Wipe the thotty out of that, trapped you with some babies. Everyone thinking that they gon' save me. Depressive motherfucker, I don't wanna steal you.
It was a dark and stormy day deep down into the factory of Biotope 8 as a bunch of scientists were running around trying to stabilize some kind of humanoid creature that was suspended in a test tube, while a man wearing an orange jumpsuit and had blue boots on with 3 scars underneath his right eye came out. I still think that it's a bad idea messing with the genetic factor of something that's already lost its life. It's wrong and goes against nature. That's when a woman with very long blonde hair stepped forward wearing nothing but a chef's outfit and protective goggles over her eyes. You say that because it's not your own child. I bet you if it was, you would go against nature to get it back, but I guess you don't know what that feels like, do you, Toriko? Toriko started to grit his teeth, realizing that he couldn't understand the pain like that. He said something similar, but not the same. I understand where you're coming from, but are you truly willing to sacrifice your humanity just to have your son back, Erina? Erina stopped in her tracks as she turned around to look at Toriko with rage in her eyes. I'm willing to sacrifice everything just so he could have his life again, even if it meant sacrificing my own life. So if you do not want to watch this, you can leave, but this project will be continuing. While the both of them were arguing, a woman with white hair came running over wearing a complete scientist outfit as she had a cheeky smile on her face. Erina, it's almost time. We have enough power and the cells are starting to stabilize, so we're going to be in the final process upon your order. Erina smiled as she shouted out to everybody in the laboratory. We're going into the final stage. Let's get everything right. I don't want any screw-ups around here. She then looks back at the woman who just gave her all of that information. Thank you, Alice. Make sure to get to your position. I only trust you with this because you know how much this means to me. Alice just smiled as she ran off to her position. I definitely want to succeed. I don't want to see you broken up like that ever again. Footsteps could be heard all over the laboratory as everybody was rushing to their position, as all the lights started to go into their emergency mode, making the entire room glow red. As somebody flipped the switch, the sound of steam could be heard leaving the pipes as a gigantic tube filled with green liquid started to glow, revealing a 5-year-old unconscious body being filled with electricity as you could see it being pulsated into him. As the sound of lightning striking down in the area could be heard, Alice flipped the final switch as a loud booming sound could be heard throughout the laboratory, causing the entire place to be filled with smoke, leaving everybody horrified, wondering if it worked. Toriko started to sniff the air, smelling something familiar but also different as he looked where the capsule used to be filled with liquid as he noticed something moving. Well, even though I'm not happy about it, your plan worked. Alice jumped down from the platform that she was on as she got closer to the moving figure as she started to tear up. He is alive. Oh my god, I can't believe it, he's alive. The mysterious boy that had black hair and green tips was actually looking around very confused as he was not wearing anything except for a pair of black underwear as he looked at the white-haired woman with confusion. Who am I and who are you? Erina was completely bawling as she walked through the smoke and up to the boy. She got on her knees and then hugged him very tightly. I'm so glad that you came back to me, my little Izuku. If you're wondering who this person is, this is your first cousin Alice Nakari, and I'm your mother Erina Nakari. Izuku was very confused about his situation, not knowing anything about himself. So wait, if you're my mother, does that mean that my full name is Izuku Nakari? Erina started to smile as she nodded her head in joy. Yes, that's your name. It's kind of complicated to explain what happened to you, but all you need to know is that you're safe and nothing will ever happen to you again. Toriko finally stepped up to the group as he seemed to be holding out a little weird device in front of Izuku. Tell me, do you know what this is? Izuku looked at it for a few seconds and was about to say no, but then a bunch of flashes of light went before his eyes as he started to remember what it was as he grabbed onto the special knocking gun. Yes, it's a knocking gun that's meant to take out high-level creatures. If you use it against anything that is below capture level 80, there is a chance you might actually kill the creature. Toriko was a little bit disturbed, realizing how much the kid actually knew as he wanted to test one last thing. Hey, I know it's going to sound a little bit weird. Are you willing to test something for me, kid? kid. Erina got a little bit concerned as she stood right in front of her son. What are you about to do with my son, Toriko? Izuku didn't hesitate to step forward as he had a look in his eyes like he was ready to protect his mother. It depends on what it is, but I will not allow you to bring any harm to my mother. Toriko shook his head as he realized he already had the answer that he needed. It was really nothing. You've actually answered it by your actions, but promise me that you're going to use all the knowledge and abilities that were gifted for you for the right cause, okay? Izuku smiled as he looked over at Toriko, feeling like he's seen him before but wasn't quite sure. As his hair for a temporary amount of time actually grew a little bit longer and went right underneath his nose as it went up and down like a fake mustache. Hey, this reminds me of an old little gag that somebody once told me about. It's called Swab the Stash. Toriko's eyes went wide for a little bit as he started to leak a little bit of his aura, but then he calmed himself down as he started to walk away from everybody in the room. Yeah, it's a funny little gag. Maybe when you get older you should grow a mustache so you can actually do it properly. Erina followed after Toriko, being concerned as the both of them stepped outside the laboratory. Toriko, I know I've done something that you'll never forgive me for, but I had to, and I have everybody else's consent except for yours because I knew that you would never give it. Toriko slammed his fist into the side of the wall, making it crack all the way up to the ceiling. You used my old man's DNA to help revive your son. I don't know what was going through the others' heads to give you their blessings, but I'll talk to them when I can later. He then took a deep breath as he started to calm himself down and then turned to look towards Erina. I'm not mad because you did it. I'm mad because you didn't ask. Your son now holds the soul and the genetics of the 3 greatest gourmet hunters of that generation. He could either do great things for this world or cause it massive destruction. As if on cue, a massive explosion could be heard from inside the laboratory as people were starting to scream, and Alice came out rushing to the both of them with a panicked look on her face. Erina, Toriko, this is a serious situation. Izuku has broken out of the laboratory and headed into the biotope. Erina started to panic as she grabbed onto Alice's arms with a very tight grip. Why? Did you say anything to him, or did somebody do something to cause all this? Alice tried to calm herself down even though she was being manhandled by Erina. Not really. After I gave him the clothes that you told me to give him, he started to say he was hungry. Before I could even say anything to him, he started to break a hole into the laboratory and walked out. Erina rushed past Alice as she went back into the laboratory, realizing that most of the machines had holes in them, as she then noticed that her son was nowhere in sight. Oh my god, I hope somebody actually went after him. There are so many creatures out there in the biotope that could probably kill him. Toriko then walked past everybody as he went up to the hole and started to sniff the air around it. I know where he's going. I'm not exactly worried about his safety, but just so the both of you don't do anything crazy, I'm going to go get him, so just stay here and wait. As we cut over to Izuku, we find him walking in a field filled with many different creatures and plants growing all over the place. He started to feel like he woke up in a fantasy, not knowing what was real or fake. As he continued to walk around, he started to smell the air, wondering what was catching his attention, as he finally came across a beanstalk that had many different colored rainbow fruits. As he looked up at the different colored fruits, he started to smell the air again, as they were giving off a very pungent odor. What is that smell? It's amazing. Then he goes to take a step forward. He starts to hear the sound of a growl from right behind him as he looks over his shoulder to notice a giant green gorilla with 4 arms that look to be like a savage animal staring him down. But as soon as he looks more around the valley at the giant beanstalk, he starts to notice more and more of these monkeys starting to show up out of nowhere that seeming to be ready for a fight. Izuku starts to count all of them until he fully realizes that there are 50 of them all around the beanstalk. I wonder what you guys taste like. You don't seem to be high in protein. Maybe fat. No, that doesn't sound right. Probably a lot more muscle, but I guess I'm going to have to kill you so I can see what you taste like. The sound of laughter could be heard coming from a mysterious man that was walking behind Izuku. I prefer it if you didn't do that. Why don't you use the special tool that I gave you earlier? That way you don't have to waste a life around here and ruin the ecosystem for all these creatures. Izuku turned around and actually was very happy to see the familiar face of Toriko. Oh, hello there again. It seems that you have experience with these creatures. Do you know what they taste like, or especially what they are actually called? Toriko smiled, realizing that the kid actually wanted to learn about these creatures. They are called troll kongs, and from my experience, their meat is tough and stringy. That's why I prefer to use knocking on them, to temporarily take them out of the equation. That way I can truly get what I came here for. Izuku looked at the knocking gun that was in his pocket as he pulled it out and then looked back at the creatures. This one is too powerful. If I use it on them, they're going to die guaranteed, so I guess I'm going to have to find some other method. Toriko was impressed, wanting to see what Izuku was planning on doing next. There is another method that you could use. It's called intimidation, where you use your own aura of killing intent to make them all afraid of you so they run away. Why don't you give that a shot, and don't feel bad if you're not able to do it on your first try. But both of them continued to have this casual conversation right in front of the troll kongs until one of the monkeys started to get very impatient with them. As the front line actually started to charge toward Toriko, only for him to release his killing intent, and all of the Troll Kongs started to back off from him. As the first wave of Troll Kongs started to back off, another wave actually started to head in as they were heading right for Izuku. When they get within striking radius, the only sound that could be heard is heavy breathing as everything within 100 feet of Izuku starts to feel a chill going down their spine. As a massive killer intent leaked out, the only person who could actually stand there without any worry was Toriko. But what he saw was the gourmet demon that actually had been a part of Izuku's appetite, and that what terrified him the most. So you decided to help him out, didn't you, Don Slime? Izuku did not fully understand what was going on as he started to walk through all the Troll Kongs heading up to the giant beanstalk. What are those majestic fruits? Do you know what they are, Toriko? Toriko had to actually shake his head for a few moments so he can get out of his shock. Oh yeah, those are actually known as rainbow fruit. They are part of my dessert course on my full course menu. Then realized this is actually a good test for the kid's morale to see how he actually thinks about things around him. Well, Izuku, you are now given a choice. You can decide to take all the rainbow fruits from the giant beanstalk and ruin part of the ecosystem of Biotope 8, or you could decide to keep some of the fruits here and only take a couple for yourself so the creatures still have something to live off of and the biotope system can continue to keep its eco-friendly. Izuku looked up at the giant beanstalk, realizing that there were at least 6 ripe fruits that seemed to be ready to be picked as he looked over at the Troll Kongs that seemed to be worried about his actions. I only need 2 of them, one that I can eat and the other one that I can mess with, so if you can actually help me out with that, we can get out of here. Toriko started to slowly move his hand downwards 2 times towards the sky. Sure thing, just make sure to catch them when they fall down. He then watched Izuku catch all the falling rainbow fruit as he cut them down with an air slash. You know, for a 5-year-old, you actually act a lot older than you should be. Izuku then tilted his head, confused by the comment. Well, I was just brought back to life from inside of a test tube, so of course a lot of things about me are going to be different than most children. He then placed the giant fruit on the ground for a second as he started to open and close his right palm. It's strange, I feel like I can do so much right now, like the entire world is within my palm, but I have no idea how to tap into it or what to do with that power. Toriko walked over and patted the boy on the back as he picked up one of the rainbow fruits. Come on, we can talk about it on the way back. Something tells me that these Troll Kongs are going to start doing something stupid if we stick around here any longer. Izuku nodded as he picked up the rainbow fruit that he put on the ground as he got behind Toriko and followed him all the way back to the laboratory. If you don't mind me asking, it seems like you know a lot about the DNA that was given to me to make me this strong. Can you tell me about those people? Toriko reached into his back pocket as he pulled out a wood-like branch as he lit it by snapping his fingers together and letting out the smoke in his mouth. It doesn't really matter what they were like, you are not them and you should focus on being yourself. Sure, you'll pick up on some of their habits and techniques, but you shouldn't focus on them. Be yourself and only do what you want to, because in my heart that's what they would want. As soon as the both of them arrived at the laboratory, Alice and Erina ran over to the both of them as Erina started to look her son up and down, making sure that he had no injuries. As soon as she found out that he was okay, then she decided to give him a quick hug and then a hit on top of the head. What were you thinking running into the biotope like that? You could have been killed. She had tears running down her face, showing how worried she was. I just want to know what was going through your head when you broke out of the laboratory. Izuku's stomach started to growl as he was chuckling a little bit. Well, I was hungry, so I went out and found something that I would enjoy eating. Alice decided to get in on the conversation as she started to shake Izuku, annoyed. So you destroyed thousands of dollars of equipment, scared your mother half to death just so you can go running into the biotope which was filled with deadly creatures just so you could find something to eat? Toriko was laughing like he just heard the best joke in the world as he started to separate the 3 of them. I told you this earlier, he's going off of instinct because of the cells that you gave them. They do not want to be fed, they want to hunt. Erina looked at Toriko with a concerned look on her face. So you're telling me that there is more of a chance of this happening all over again? Toriko then looked at Izuku and then looked around the laboratory thinking about it. More than likely, but that's good. It shows that he wants to learn more about the habitats around here. He was trying to figure out what the creatures were like out there. Maybe it's because he has a thirst for knowledge. He did all this destruction. So you need to start teaching him the things he needs to know so he can understand the food around him. Izuku was just listening to the adults talk as he sat down and shaped his hand like a knife as he kinda was trying to copy Toriko's technique as he sliced a piece of the rainbow fruit off. As soon as he placed a piece in his mouth, the taste overwhelmed his entire body, not knowing what to actually think or to expect out of this ever-changing flavor. This is extremely delicious. I can't even describe what I'm tasting because it keeps on changing. I want to know more about this fruit. Alice got overjoyed as she picked up Izuku and hugged him so tight. You have inherited the family's thirst for knowledge. I'm going to teach you everything that you want to know, that way you could tell everybody about the science facts behind every ingredient that you come across. Izuku had a confused and annoyed face looking at Alice. Can you please put me down so I can finish eating? I'm still hungry. Erina smiled, realizing that if she wants to protect her son, she also has to allow him to be free. Well, if she is going to teach you all about the science behind culinary cuisine, then I'm going to teach you how to properly prepare it when you come back with your ingredient. Toriko just took a look outside into the biotope. Does that mean you're going to have his father properly teach him how to hunt? Izuku was finally able to get out of the grip of Alice as he actually grabbed another piece of the rainbow fruit and went over to Toriko. Wait, I actually have a father? Toriko just shook his head with a big smile on his face. I guess it makes sense if you don't believe that you would have a father since you were recently a test tube child. But yeah, he's one of the best chefs in the world. He actually thinks that hunting is a small little hobby. Erina started to look at the sky, wondering where her husband actually has run off to this time. Yeah, but he has a terrible habit of not staying in one place for very long. He likes to wander way too much. Izuku didn't really care much for the conversation as he picked up the rainbow fruit that he's been eating and went wandering deeper into the factory. While everybody was trailing off about his father, he tried to find something interesting, eventually coming across this giant kitchen. As he walks into the kitchen, he sees a man in a full chef's uniform wearing a white hat as the man then looks back at Izuku. Oh, hello there. Did you get separated from the tour? Izuku just tilted his head, confused about that statement. This place has a tour, and who are you? The man was actually confused, not used to people not recognizing him at first. Oh, I'm Komatsu, partner of Toriko, along with being one of the top 10 greatest chefs in the world. Since you don't know who I am, I'm guessing you're not really into that stuff. Izuku was intrigued as he walked over to the prep station, noticing all the fine knife cuts and all the tools laid out on the counter. These are very impressive knife cuts. Can you show me how to do stuff like this? Komatsu smiled, but was also a little bit on guard, feeling like he sensed this kind of aura before. Sure, I don't see a problem with that, but could I get your name? That way in case somebody comes looking for you, I can actually let them know that you're here. Izuku didn't like the idea that people were coming to look for him. He just wanted to do his own thing and be left alone for right now, but he decided not to be rude. My name is Izuku Nakari. Matsu's eyes shot open wide as he actually fell onto his behind, startled out of his mind. But how? We heard that you were dead, unless... He actually looked down at the ground, realizing what actually happened in the biotope laboratory today. Your mother really did it. She went against orders and against nature. I can only wonder what Toriko is thinking about this entire thing right now. Izuku didn't really seem surprised, more annoyed than anything, as he actually got closer to the prep table, having to grab a small stool so he could actually be at proper height with the table. Well, since we just got back from hunting a few minutes ago for these rainbow fruits, I would say we're at least on speaking terms with one another. Matsu smacked himself silly as he got back onto his feet, composing himself. How do you feel about all this? You look like you're no more than 5, but you're acting like you're so much older. Izuku didn't say anything for a minute as he picked up a culinary knife and as he had his face reflected in the side of the metal. I don't know. I can't tell you if I'm the real deal or if I'm just some artificial clone of him, but I do not know anything from my past or anything that you might know about me. He then turned to look at Komatsu, and that's the reason why I don't care about your reaction. Komatsu actually felt bad for Izuku as he finally got over to the prep station and set up 2 cutting boards and taking away the big knife that Izuku was holding. Alright, since you want to know how to prep something, why don't we use the rainbow fruit and a smaller knife for you? As he reached into his drawer and then pulled out a smaller knife that was less sharp and handed it to Izuku. Alright, I'm going to show you a very simple prep exercise, so make sure to pay attention. Izuku was watching as he started to adapt his grip to the small knife, just like how Komatsu was holding his. Alright, I'm ready. Show me how to prep the rainbow fruit. 3 hours go by as the entire research group was trying to track down Izuku while a lot of them were going out and checking the biotope. While Alice and Erina were trying to check the factory, the only person who actually knew where he actually went was Toriko, who was wanting to see how long it took everybody to figure that out. As he found his partner along with a missing child in one of the prep kitchen practicing knife work and impressing Komatsu by how quickly he's picking it up. I'm glad that you took my words to heart, but you need to start telling your mother when you're going to go somewhere, Izuku. Komatsu was actually excited to see that his partner was not upset about the situation before him. Perfect timing, we were actually just finishing up prepping the rainbow fruit for a recipe I was about to show him. So if you want to have some of the leftover scraps that we don't need, you can munch on those until we're finished. Izuku's hands were shaking as he was putting on band-aids from being cut a few times during practice. I can see why he's your partner. Sensei Komatsu is very talented. I almost ruined part of the rainbow fruit in the beginning because of my lack of skill. Boriko was looking at Izuku, seeing a younger version of his this old man along with 2 other visitors just enjoying life, which brought a big smile to his face. Well, you can't expect to pick up on something on your first try. You're going to have to keep on practicing and eventually you'll get better at it. Izuku had a big cheeky smile only a 5-year-old could have as he started to wash the knife that he was using. Yeah, I want to get better so I can also improve my hunting skill. I want to have the best of both worlds so I could be a best chef and a great gourmet hunter. Matsu was just overjoyed to hear how Izuku was feeling about the future for himself as he started to place some of the prepped rainbow fruit into a blender along with some spices. While that's an excellent dream that you have, plus it gives you a wide perspective of what you could do with your life. He then blended up the ingredients and once it was finished he put them all into cups so everybody could enjoy a smoothie. So let this be your first lesson for your future. Izuku took the cup as he started to drink the smoothie and his mind was completely blown away by all the different textures, not knowing how to exactly to describe it. He could taste the different textures of the fruit that was blended in with the spices as it continued to change while the temperature rised within his hands. He wanted to find the word to give it kind of like a texture or explain it out loud, but his brain just wasn't working with him. Amazing, just simply amazing. How is stuff like this even possible? I don't even understand what I've been drinking. While they were enjoying their smoothies, outside the door of the prep kitchen you could see 2 faces could be seen looking in. It was Alice and Erina who were very happy to see that Izuku was having a good time with Komatsu and Toriko as Alice then looked over at her cousin with a very bright smile. Looks like we don't have to worry about him. He has very strong food luck and people all around him ready to give him advice and guide him. Erina just looked at Alice with a concerned look on her face. I'm not worried about him having proper guidance. I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to give him the happiness that he deserves because I've already failed him once. Alice just shook her head as she started to chuckle a little bit. You worry too much. Sometimes you need to forget about the past and just worry about the future. But that's where I'm going to leave it off this time, guys. Please make sure to check out our Discord and leave a comment down below along with a like, and also make sure to pay attention for an upcoming post because I'm going to be sending out something very important for the channel. But with all that said, I'm out this time, guys. Bye!